Hello everyone. I am happy that you're here with me today. I'm working on a shortcut or two for breakfasts over the holidays. I'm going to share a breakfast casserole with you today, and we'll also talk about my cinnamon roll recipe and how you can make it the night before. Put it in the fridge. When you wake up on Christmas morning, take it out of the fridge, let it sit an hour, and then bake it as you normally would. So I'm going to gather up the ingredients for the first part of the breakfast casserole, and this is a beautiful casserole. I'm going to gather up the ingredients and we'll get started. Now this is a loaded up breakfast casserole. It has both sausage and bacon in it. So the first thing I'm going to do is get the bacon on a sheet tray and into the oven. I have the oven set at 400 degrees, which is where I want it to be for this entire recipe. And I am going to use about 8 slices. I suspect that's pretty close to what's in this package, which I think if you referred to it by something, you'd say it was a 1 pound package. This is 375 grams in Canada. So I am going to use the entire thing. The one fell is going to get overlapped. Now most overnight recipes for a breakfast casserole call for hash browns. You can buy the frozen hash browns from the grocery store, or you can peel and dice your potatoes. To make this a little different, I'm going to add sweet potatoes, and I have just over a pound of sweet potatoes here, and I'm just going to peel them all, and then I'm going to cut them in cubes. I like the flavor of a sweet potato anyway and use it whenever I can. And being able to turn these into hash browns is just, in my eyes, it's a perfect dish. So I think these 3 small sweet potatoes weighed just about 1.5 pounds. Now you could of course use less if you wanted to. It depends on what you want. This recipe, definitely you can change things in and out. It calls for a green pepper, but if all you have is a red pepper, then I would use the red pepper. Same with the sausage that goes into it. It calls for breakfast sausage, but I'm using a mild Italian sausage in it, and we like the mild Italian sausage, and so you definitely can adjust it to your own tastes. It has few ingredients really for any kind of a dish that you're cooking for your family. There's not a lot of ingredients in it. I'm going to put a towel under here because some of you complain, and I understand why you do, because it makes a lot of noise when I'm chopping and it hits my counter. So I'm going to try this out. I just forget sometimes. So I'm going to cut the ends off of these, and I am going to turn to my sink, give them a rinse, and then carry on from there. Now I saw a couple of ugly spots while I was doing that, so I'm just going to go back and tidy these up. Okay, now let's just get these cut. Now make sure you're keeping your fingers out of the way, because these definitely they're very tough and make your knives. So be cautious as you're cutting them. I'm going for about a 1/2 inch dice on them, which can take a few minutes. I've got a parchment lined sheet tray here to put the pieces on. And these are going to go in the oven for 35 minutes. We are not far off the holiday season now, so it's time to start making our lists for, if you're a list maker. Some of us just traditionally cook things that we've always cooked for the holidays. If you're thinking about trying something new this year, it may contain ingredients that you don't normally stock in your cupboard. So make sure that you've got your recipes written down and that you've made a list. But when you go to the grocery store, you pick up all of the ingredients that you need for new recipes that you're going to try. And that way you won't find yourself, after the store has closed, looking for a particular ingredient that you may not be able to find at the corner store. These don't have to be perfect by any means, but the closer you can get them to the same size, the better the more they'll cook evenly. And that's what we're after. We want to have a nice even cook on them. Now there's advantages in my mind to doing these up ahead, because Christmas morning is a busy time. Now if you're an older couple like we are, Christmas morning doesn't have the same meaning for us that it used to have when we had a house full of kids and everybody would be up at 6:30 because Santa had arrived, or because you had to get ready to go to a church service or something. We are down to having, we just in the last year increased the size of our family by one when one of our nieces has come to live with us. She's going to be 16 early in the new year. And so we're looking at Christmas in a whole new way this year that we have for a long time, because she's still at that age and stage in her life where Christmas has a lot of excitement for her. And I hope that one of these days I'll be able to introduce her to you on the channel, because she's sweet and she is she's very good with people. She also wants to learn how to make sushi, and she said, Tanta, now Tanta is what she calls me. She said, Tanta, why don't we do a video? I bet it'd go viral. She's such a sweetheart. Anyway, we've got all of the sweet potatoes done. So I don't think oh yeah, I still need this. So let's move that out of the way. And I'm just going to add a little oil and salt and pepper to this. Okay. Let's get started with a little oil. I'm gonna drizzle on a couple tablespoons probably. Just enough so that when we give it a shake, everybody gets a little bit of oil. And there we go. I'm going to add, I think I better get a little oil off my hands before I pick up those containers. Now I've got the lid greasy. Oh boy. I need a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder and a 1/4 teaspoon of smoked paprika. I'm just going to eyeball this. And I'm going to add a sprinkle of salt and a sprinkle of pepper to this. Now I'm going to stir it up with my hands one last time, and then this is going to go into the oven, and this is going to be 35 minutes in the oven. I'm going to get them as flat as I can so that they, oops, there's a bigger one. See a couple bigger ones now that I'm flattening them out. Let's get those taken care of. And there we go, ready to go in the oven. 35 minutes. And we'll move on to the next step. Now, the next step, I have a package of mild Italian sausage here, and it's 500 grams, which is a pound. And I am just going to take them out of their casings and crumble the meat into a big frying pan. You need 1 green pepper. This could be whatever color you choose. It doesn't need to be green, it could be red or orange or yellow, whatever is your favorite one to cook and eat. Personally, I kind of lean to the red because I find them a little sweeter, but this is a savory dish, so green is a good choice. And we're just going to dice this up. Doesn't have to be a particularly beautiful dice, but try and get them as close to the same size as you can. That would be great. And then we are going to also dice up a small to medium sized onion. And I think the onion adds a lot of flavor to the dish, so I wouldn't skip it, but if you don't care for onion in your food, obviously you're going to skip it. This dish is very flexible. You can definitely use whatever your favorite veggies are, and also your favorite sausage. If you like your dishes to be a bit spicy, then by all means use a spicy sausage, or add some hot sauce to the eggs when you mix the eggs up to put them in. For me and mine, my husband's very sensitive to the heat that comes in some spices, and so most of what we eat does not have any hot components to it because he just simply wouldn't be able to eat it. That doesn't mean that I don't eat it once in a while. When we go out for dinner, I order something usually that's spicy. So I've got my green peppers, and now I'm going to dice up this onion. And while I do that, I just want to talk to you a little about other dishes that you can use for prepping ahead for breakfasts. And one of them is, one of our favorites, is to do my recipe for cinnamon rolls. I have a recipe for cinnamon rolls that I have shown on the channel a couple of times, once all by itself and once in my recent upload for 3 different things you can do with your bread machine. And that recipe, once you have it all made and the rolls into the pan, it's a simple matter of putting a piece of plastic wrap over top of that pan and putting it in the fridge until the next morning. The chill in the fridge will stop them from rising, and then you can take them out in the morning an hour before you want to cook them, and it takes about 25 minutes to cook them. Just take them out a little in advance and then cook them as you normally would. And man, you've done none of the work on Christmas morning other than adding the icing to the top. So there we go, we've got our onions and peppers. Now, my sausage is just finished over here. So I am going to take most of that out of there because I want to get rid of some of that grease. Now, here's a slotted spoon. I'm just going to grab this bowl and I am going to tip it and try and drain most of it away. And I think this is important when you're making any kind of a dish that you're using cooked sausage in. You don't want all that oil, all that fat to go into your dish. Then make sure you drain it away. I am going to leave about 1 tablespoon of oil in the pan so that I can fry these vegetables a little bit. In they go. And back back on the stove. Once I have these frying, we'll work on the eggs. I've got the veggies over there in the frying pan and they're just starting to sizzle. You can probably hear that. And I am going to take this bacon and I'm going to just chop it into some pretty fine pieces. And I shouldn't say fine, I'm just going to chop it. And I am going to put it in the dish with the sausage that's already been cooked. And I'm saving back a couple of pieces of bacon just so that I can crumble it and put it onto the top of the dish. So in it goes. You certainly are getting a lot of protein in this dish. We'll set that aside. And now let's work on the egg mixture. So I've just got a bowl here that I'm going to crack in. I'm going to add first 1/3 of a cup of milk. And now I'm going to crack 12 eggs. Seems like a lot, and it is. This is good and hearty and will serve a lot of people. So keep that in mind when you're making it. You could certainly divide this recipe in half. Whoops, I want to be careful there. You could certainly divide it in half and put it into an 8x8 or a 9x9 and have really good results that way too. I am making this today for you from beginning to end, although I'm going to show you what I do to do it overnight. And then once this is cooked and it's set and had a chance to cool, I am going to put it into tinfoil to-go containers for my husband's lunch. I just make up meals for him. He has in his big truck, he has a little cooler that works as a fridge, and he has a lunchbox oven. And so these little tinfoil containers work perfectly for him. You can put one into the oven, and when he stops an hour and a half later, bingo, he's got lunch. And it's all hot. And I love that we can cook it for him, that he knows what he's eating and that he's not eating all the time at restaurants, which is a huge help financially, but it also means that he's not eating, you know, traditional truck driver food, which can be problematic as well. So there we go. In they go. I'm going to whisk these just until really everything, all the yolks are broken. And don't want to overmix it. No reason to. I see a couple in there yet, and until the milk is all mixed in as well. All that mixing, and I've still got one yolk bouncing around in there like playing hide and seek. Not anymore. Okay, so to this I'm going to add a sprinkle of salt because it's a lot of eggs in there and they do need a little salt. I'm going to go stir the veggies and see if they're ready yet. Now I think it's time to bring this all together. So I have a 9x13 pan here. I'm just going to give it a good spray with some cooking spray. And yes, you should do that even if you're putting it into the refrigerator for the night. And I'm going to add to this pan the bacon and the sausage, which has been drained. I'm going to add the vegetables. And in they go. They're still pretty warm. And now the sweet potatoes I'm just going to grab from the oven. And so, yes, they came right out of the oven. So I am holding on to them carefully, and I'm going to get them all into this pan. And some of these crisped up quite nicely too, which is great. Now, yes, it makes a lot of dishes. I have to say that about the dish. There's a lot of washing up to do afterwards, but it's totally worth it. So now I'm going to mix this all together, just give it a good toss together so that the sausage and the bacon and the sweet potatoes and the veggies all get mixed together well. Then I'm going to level it out. And I think that looks great already. I'm going to give one last little whisk to my eggs. And I'm going to pour the eggs over the top. Oh, sounds like my timer for my sweet potatoes is going off. They were cooked before the 35. And I'm just going to give that a little jiggle, and anything that I see that's sticking out too much, I'm going to pat down. And then this last 2 pieces of bacon that I've been reserving, I'm going to add to the top. And not that I needed to, I don't think, because I see a lot of bacon sticking out. But anyway, definitely adds to how pretty it is. And then a little bit of mozzarella cheese to it. I'm not going to add a whole lot because I don't really think that the dish needs a whole lot. But this just does add a little more complexity of flavor. Now, it's at this point I'm going to cover this. If I am preparing this the night before, I am going to cover this with a piece of tin foil. I'm going to put it into the refrigerator and it's going to stay there till morning. I'm going to take it out about an hour before I want to start cooking it, and I'm going to leave the tin foil on it and put it into a 400-degree oven, and I'm going to cook it for the first 30 minutes with the tin foil on it. Then I'm going to remove the tin foil and probably cook it another 15 minutes after that for a total of 45 minutes. Depends on how long you let it come to room temperature when you've taken it from the fridge. Today, I'm looking at maybe 35 to 40 minutes because I am going to put it into the oven the way it is right now so that I can show you this whole process in one day. And then I will be back after this is cooked. I will test it with a toothpick. We don't want any jiggling. We don't want any water in there. We want it to be dry. So do test it with a toothpick. My mom used to test everything with the blade of a sharp knife, and if it came back clean and dry, basically dry, then it would be cooked. So whichever way works for you in your kitchen, you should definitely check to make sure it's cooked all the way through. And I will be back to show you the result at the end. Well, here it is, fresh out of the oven. I think that I could have tapped the time back to 30 minutes maybe. I poked it at 30 with a skewer and it seemed to be okay, but I thought I'll just give it another minute or two, and then I got distracted by my telephone, and so it went the full 35 minutes. I think you could definitely have probably stopped at 30. Now, just to repeat, I did it this way today so that you could see it. But if you're doing this in an overnight preparation, you are definitely going to need to add more time to it because your the mix that you're putting in there will no longer be warm or hot in some cases. Like we cooked the sausage, we cooked the bacon, we cooked the veggies, we cooked the potatoes. So everything was warm before the eggs went on. And so you will definitely need more time, but keep an eye on it and ignore your phone. So this works wonderfully for an overnight dish. You can make it in the early afternoon when you have time, cover it with foil, into the fridge, and you are set for breakfast the next day. And who could ask for more than that? Folks, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, that you'll consider giving it a like, a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and share on social media. That's how you can help me the most, is just to share my video on whatever social media platform you happen to be on, and those shares really matter to me. So if you could do that for me, that would be fantastic. I look forward to bringing you dishes like this on into the future. I'm just trying to wait for this to cool down to see if I'm going to be able to cut it to show you what it looks like inside before I sign this video off. And the bacon just got in my way there. And yes, good thing we're using a spray on the pan because it does still want to stick. I'm going to see if I can't bring this up to you. And this is what it looks like. I think it looks delicious. And I have these for all you people that have to pack a lunch. I have these little tinfoil containers, and in it goes hot, and there's a serving for my husband for his lunch. So, folks, until next time, I hope that you take care, and I will see you again soon on the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.